And just like that, I'm brought back in. Songs of Syx just dropped version 71, which is the Reign of Terror update. And it's really a massive overhaul to the entire game. We're talking completely reworked loyalty system. You can now be just like your favorite dictator. A natural population that it grows in a way that's not stick all the children in a room and hope for the best. The economy system's getting a little bit of a rework, and the laborer system, just keeping it YouTube PG there, has been improved to have some actual depth to it. So let's have a look at it all. So let's start with the crime and punishment section. Well, that's been completely redesigned from the ground up. We can now assign specific punishments to specific crimes, which means when Greg decides to flash his neighbors, you can decide to throw him in the fighting pit. That's right, Greg. Don't flash your neighbors. You can have guards actively patrolling your streets, and new structures, alongside things like gallows, which you place around in your city that create a dread aura. That's right, you can make your people fear you, and that dread aura tends to suppress criminal behavior. Oddly enough, living right next to a gallows does make you more hesitant to commit crime. Alongside that, you've now got secret police. You can just run them around, just like countries like America and China. And they are really good at keeping, crime down. They do make your people rather unhappy, though. Equally, you can decide to not go really heavily into the idea of punishing criminals. If your city stays happy and its happiness is high enough, you can kind of get a crime-free society without any sort of heavy policing or punishment. So, the question that this version really brings is, are you a just, peaceful ruler, or are you an iron-fisted tyrant? Both are good choices, both are incredibly powerful, and ultimately the choice is yours to make. So then we go to the slavery system, which has also been given a pretty major overhaul. It's a lot more detailed than before. Slaves now function more similarly to regular citizens. They have their own needs, they have happiness, and managing their welfare is now a genuine strategical choice that actually will impact your economy. So if they don't get too happy, guess what? They're probably going to do their job really poorly. And again, slave revolts are a thing. On top of all this, slaves are now a fully tradable commodity. We can actually buy and sell them and move them through our trade networks. This does tend to make slavery a little bit less of a background mechanic, and of course, much more meaningful, and one you probably want to engage with, for better or for worse. Now, this new system that's getting introduced for families might be one of my favorite additions. Most races in this version now reproduce naturally, so you don't have to rely entirely on breeders. Their parents actually raise infants. Children will move into a global nursery system, providing you build nurseries. And over time, your city will actually develop generations of people that have, actual relations to each other. You can now use family trees to track up to, about 1 million individuals, according to the Steam blog post. And children will now inherit the surnames from their fathers, mums, whatever. And it kind of allows you to see dynasties. You might see these powerful dynasties that reign in, especially for nobles. I think this is a really good system. And of course, education now starts in childhood too, which is still not sending them to work in the mines, annoyingly. But at least you're getting something out of them. You will get better workers, smarter workers. Now, speaking of education, it's been split into two tiers. Childhood education will now lay the foundation, and university learning will take it further. There's also a new indoctrination mechanic that was kind of there before, but it can be used now to actually properly boost loyalty, though obviously at a cost of genuine happiness. Administration has also been simplified into a much cleaner tech point generation system, and, it just is much more noticeable, and you progress through your tech tree a little bit faster, and it just allows you to make your cities run a bit better. Linking to what I just said, tech costs are roughly down by about 50%, which obviously is really huge, which again does make that technological progression much more fast. Trade is now a proper logistical system as well. There's costs, tariffs, tolls, and regional market effects to consider, and where you place your emissaries and which trade routes you establish actually kind of matters. Trade caps have also been removed entirely, opening up for a bit more of a dynamic economy. And so, yeah, it's nice to see trade getting a look at. And then there's a small few changes that are worth mentioning. Your climate and moisture now do tend to affect both the health and agriculture a lot more deeply. So where your city's situated does tend to matter more. Obviously, if you're living in a swamp, you might get some infections a bit more frequently. Hospitals are getting a bit of a bigger boost from opiates and fabrics, so definitely worth stocking up on those. The accident system has finally been reworked. No more random accidents that kill 20 people. Actually now scales properly with city size. So, when you have a small population, you're not going to have an accident that just wipes out half your population. And more looking at quality of life, you've got some better production predictions. The UI's been redesigned a little bit. You've got some better work priorities and some new decorations, which will help us make our cities look a lot less like a boiling trash heap. I think there's also been a framework that revamped for modders, which hopefully should unlock some new content. Of course, as always, with a new update, there is always this critical, like, kind of just quick heads up. Any saves from the previous version are broken. You will need to start fresh. And many mods are also currently still needing updates before they'll work with this version. So make sure to check your mod list before actually trying the game. Basically, just think of it as a new start, which for a new version. So that was a very quick, explanation of the new version. It's really good whether you want to build a dynasty of happy, thriving citizens or become the best dictator in the world. You've got options. I've been intrigued to see what people are looking at doing, whether they want to go more the utopia or the tyranny. And yeah, if you found this useful or good to hear, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I will basically make sure to try and cover every update that comes out for this game if and when more come. See you later.